Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Janine and today I will show you how to transfer watercolor paints from one slot of your palette into another. Let's go over the tools you will need. First, I need my watercolor palette and all the paints need to be completely dry. If any of the paints are wet, it can become quite messy and paints can even spill and move around on your palette. The next item I need is a glass of water and some paper towel. I also need a sheet of paper and a pencil. Those are needed for a sketch of the new layout. I like to use tweezers for this task and the shape does not really matter. I also need some tool to transfer water into only one of the paint slots. I prefer a plastic transfer pipette, but even a teaspoon will do the job just fine. The last item I need is a medium-sized paintbrush. The exact size is not really important. The second step is to sketch out a plan with the new layout of the palette. To make a good layout, it helps to figure out why the current setup needs improving in the first place. There can be many reasons, but let me share mine as examples. I bought some new watercolors and I want to add them to the palette near similar colors. The second reason is a change in which colors I use and mix most. Placing commonly mixed colors near each other makes it easier to mix them. I really started to like mixing pink and yellow, which were on different parts of my palette before. When I first set up this palette, I grouped similar colors for a better overview and to avoid spills. As you can see, the Prussian blue kept spilling into the orange and I continuously had to clean the orange. This would not be such a big deal if they were two shades of a similar color like blue or green spilling into each other. But the Prussian blue kept spilling into the orange watercolor and it created a greenish matte brown color whenever I used the orange without cleaning it first. I already transferred some paints like the reds to their new position. Let's move the permanent rows now so that I can show you how I did it. My rule number 1. I try to move them dry first. I squeeze my tweezers together and try to get them under the paint. If you add water first, this can become quite messy. The paint usually comes loose as one big piece. Once the paint is loose, I can move it to the new slot. I can add some water to the new slot later to make the paint stick to it. But first, I can scrape off the rest of the paint in the old position. Sometimes it comes loose as large chunks and sometimes as small pieces. I move as much of it as I can without making a mess. When there are only small pieces left, I can use my pipette or teaspoon to add water to the specific slot. I can now use a brush to dissolve the watercolor, including the rest that is stuck in the corners. This would take forever to do without loosening it first with the tweezers. I'm also working blind as I cannot see the corners through the highly pigmented liquid watercolor. Once all the watercolor is dissolved, I have two options. I could use my brush like a sponge to transfer the watercolor, or I can use the pipette. I like to transfer as much paint as possible. Keep in mind, the paint that is left in there is worth less than 1 cent. Don't feel bad about cleaning it with a paper towel. I want to get the palette as clean as possible in preparation for the new watercolor, especially when the colors are really contrasting. Any watercolor left can mix with the new watercolor you're going to add to the now empty place. Sometimes the colors can stain the plastic palette, just like you can see here. Now all that is left for me to do is to create a new swap card. I will probably refer to it a few times over the next few weeks, but getting used to the new setup is really easy. I hope you found this video useful. Please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I will see you soon with the next video, and thanks for watching.